Okay, hello everyone. This is a video about how to set up the Racepak dashes with the Adaptronic Modular ECUs. Now, it gets a bit complicated because there are several types of Racepak IQ3 dashes, and often people don't even know which one they have. So I'll start off with the most basic one. This is called the Racepak IQ3, and this doesn't support any ECUs directly. What it has is a VNet port at the back there, so you can see that 5-pin connector there. Now, this connects to VNet cable like that, which you should be able to see, which has got 5 pins there. There's a shield, power and ground, and also 2 CAN connections. Then there's 2 pins there which are blanked off, so you can't actually use those. Now this this dash gets, you can also connect power and ground on the Deutsch connector there, and that's also where you connect buttons to change screens and that sort of thing. That's a serial connection, yes, in 2017, which you need to use to program the dash. Now, what you're supposed to do if you want to connect one of these to an ECU is use one of these, a Racepak EFI CAN interface, and they're only $375 US. And what that does is that takes the protocol from the ECU's native format and converts that into the Racepak format, which is CAN as well, but it's their proprietary version of that called VNet. Now, we've actually tried to get Racepak to implement our ECU's protocols into this product, but they've said they'd do it and then they haven't done it. So we've taken matters into our own hands, and now we actually output the VNet format directly. So to use that, you need to select the VNet protocol in the software, select the terminate function as well if it's going straight into the back of the dash, and you need to select the bitrate as 250 kilobits per second. So this is straight IQ3, and this is using our default configuration, which you can see there. So that's just data coming straight off the ECU. That middle number there is the gear, and these are various inputs that we've configured. So map at the moment is showing absolute pressure, but with the software setting you can change that to display gauge pressure or in PSI, or boost in PSI and vacuum in inches of mercury if you want to. Similarly, temperatures are in degrees C, but you can change that with the software setting to degrees F. And oil pressure and fuel pressure are also in kPa at the moment, but again you can change that to PSI just with the setting in the software. So once you've set that to, set the output mode to Racepak, set the terminate on, set the bitrate to 250 kilobits per second, set the remap to be off, and load in our configuration, then you can see that on a standard Racepak IQ3 dash. In normal installation, to have one of these, when you go to read the channels out, that's not there. So it'll ask you if you want to remove these channels from the configuration. You have to say no to that, so that all the EFI channels like the RPM and the core temperature, oil pressure and so on are all still there, and then you can select those on the display. Now, the next complicated bit is the other versions of the dash, like the Haltech IQ3. So this is basically the same as the Racepak IQ3, except that it has one of these EFI converter modules built into it, and that's pre-programmed to read the Haltech protocol. Now, there are actually 2 versions of this. There's the early version, which is the Haltech version 1 protocol, and there's the later version, which is the Haltech version 2 protocol. Now, I'm just going to show you something different with the connectors. So you'll notice that on this one, we actually have 2 more pins there. So rather than just the 5 around the outside, there are another 2. And those 2 are the CAN connections for the Haltech ECU. Now, the cable that comes when you buy one of these dashes has a red plug on it instead of a blue plug. And then internally inside the cable, we still have the black and white pairs for the CAN, and we have red and green for power and ground, and the 2 pins for the VNet do not come out to wires in the cable. So what that means is that if you want to use the Haltech dash, there are 2 ways to do it. If it's the early type, which accepts the Haltech version 1 protocol, then you can just connect the CAN output from the ECU to the Haltech CAN input on the dash, so just using the normal supplied cable with the red connector, and then select the bitrate as 1 megabit per second, terminate on, and the output mode is Haltech V1. Now, interestingly, this actually emulates the CAN protocol for the AIM dash. So we actually have an Adaptronic ECU emulating a Haltech ECU so that a Racepak dash, which was designed to read the format for an AIM dash, will read it correctly. It's fairly limited in the channels that are available, but that will do the job for 90% of applications. Now, the later dash, which uses for the Haltech version 2 protocol, is designed to only work with Haltech ECUs. So there's special authentication and handshaking and passwords and secret handshakes and stuff between the ECU and the dash, so that the dash doesn't work with ECUs other than Haltech. And that's actually what this dash is, by the way. But we can actually get around that because there's an option in the Adaptronic ECU software to remap the CAN output. So normally with these, the RPM is at 750 and other channels are after that. What we can do is we can actually put the RPM at 768 instead, and the other channels go after that, because this Haltech dash, as well as supporting the Haltech channel, also supports VNet. So we can just connect that as well, and then we just ignore the data from the built-in protocol converter, and then we just treat it the same as one of these dashes. It does require a different configuration to be loaded in, so both these configurations are available, and I'll just show you that working. So I'll just change the ECU setting at the moment to enable the remap. So you'll see this dash will now stop working because it's looking for data at a different address. Unplug the VNet cable. So this cable is actually just a VNet cable which I got with the Racepak dash, I think, I can't remember, and I just cut the end off it to be able to connect it into the Super Seal connector at the back of the ECU. I'm not using the power connection on it, so I'm just using the black and the white wires for CAN. Okay, so we'll connect the VNet connection there into the back of the Haltech dash. And there we go, now we can see we've got our temperatures, pressures, gear, RPM and so on, all happily reading off the Haltech IQ3 version 2 dash. So this is not using the Haltech protocol, this is using the Racepak protocol. And yeah, so this still, if you try to read the configuration, it'll still get confused about the fact that there's no EFI controller module there, and ask you to remove the channels, in which case you have to say no to that, because otherwise you'll lose the channels. Thank you very much.